Hey everyone, welcome to the Holešky Pectra upgrade live stream call. This is Jonathan Meyer, and I'm here with a whole bunch of people from the broader Ethereum community. So welcome to all of you. I don't even know if I can see you all now on the Zoom call, and hopefully those watching on YouTube are able to hear us all loud and clear. And I'm going to go ahead and get us kicked off, but one thing I do want to point out is the structure of this call. We're doing it a little bit differently. At least I don't think we've done it this way before. And so we're going to try it out where the fork is actually going to happen on Holešky at the midway point, or roughly the midway point of this call. So it's going to happen at 21:55 UTC. Right now it's 21:30. So we have 25 minutes to get through the first half of the agenda. So why don't I'll outline what we're going to do because we have a bunch of interesting and fun things planned. So first of all, obviously stick around and there will be a few POAPs that are going to be talked about and either announced, given out, talked about. So stay tuned for that. That's always fun. And we also, we have a few different like live Twitter polls going on. So check out the ETHstaker Twitter right now to see some of that. I'll point it out later in the agenda. And overall, what we're going to do here is have an overview of some of the key EIPs. So we have some people doing that, and that'll be the first thing we do. Then after that, we'll have a review of the updated staking launchpad. And then we'll get ready to watch the upgrade. And then what we're going to do is kind of observe things afterwards, and then go and look at initial findings like we do. And then we're going to also have hopefully a demo of a consolidation on the testnet. And so that will be like stuff that we can do in the second half of the call. And then we'll get into those POAPs and other fun things that we want to announce in anticipation of the mainnet upgrade in just a matter of weeks now at this point. So that's the plan. And without further delay, we can get into the first part of this, unless there's anything else that I'm missing that anyone wants to say before we do that. But the first thing we're going to do is hand it off to Paul Harris, Justin, Florentine, to go ahead and review some of the key EIPs coming in Pectra and from a developer perspective here.
Cool. So I guess I can kick it off with the consensus layer changes for Pectra. There's a few EIPs that are coming that are largely under the covers. Things like changing how deposits flow from the execution layer through to the consensus layer, changing how we store attestations, and basically the number of blobs that are a target for each block. That's changed as well. It's up to doubling that. Most of the rest of the changes from the consensus layer side are around maximum effective balance, which is a set of changes that are designed to allow a validator to have a much larger balance on the chain, and also associated changes to initiate partial withdrawals from the execution layer and actually perform all the consolidations. And the other one that was requested, I think largely from liquid staking, but I could be wrong, was around exiting a validator from the execution layer. So that's all coming from the consensus layer side in Electra.
Hey, I'm happy to weigh in on some of the execution layer side. There's a number of pretty cool things. Specifically, the long-awaited BLS precompiles. I don't know if anybody else here can recall when those were first proposed, but it was a while ago. Bonus points for anybody that can call out the hard fork where that was first proposed. It's finally going in. So these are going to be precompiles that will be available for smart contracts that want to do anything on the BLS curves. Typically, that's signature aggregation type things. So that's pretty cool. That's a new thing. We are adding EIP 2935, which is storing the recent block hashes in state. So now smart contracts will have availability on all the recent about 8K, I think, um, block hashes. So they'll be able to reference that, and that'll be always available in state. That's going to be a big win for us when we need to drop, when we get towards stateless clients. That's right, Marius. Berlin. First time we tried to throw that in there was Berlin. So yeah, so block hash is stored on state. EIP 6110. Actually, I think Paul might have alluded to this too. Validator deposits are going to be on chain now as well. So that's pretty cool. Let's see, triggerable exits, max EB. I'm going to stay away from those. Let Paul speak to those. Increasing the call data cost. So we are increasing the call data cost. There's a new formula for it. We expect this to reduce the actual block size, apart from blobs, by nearly half. So that will reduce things quite a bit. For a 30 million gas block, it'll be a lot smaller. So that's a big win for our friends that have, that's right, small blocks, big blobs. That's a big win for our solo stakers at home that have upstream issues. So it's a thing that we're working on it. We hear those folks. We are working on it.
Justin, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
Who's using call data right now? Like, why is that a need for us to increase that cost?
Why do we want to increase the cost? So there are some timing games and some weirdness that can still happen. I don't know how often the L2s do this, but there are some weird situations where it's actually cost effective for them to continue to use call data and not use blobs. It's a weird one. I don't know that I could really walk you through the math on it, but once this goes into effect, that really won't be viable. So we should. I can't guarantee we'll get price discovery on the blobs, but that's what we want. So we'll see how that affects it. Yeah, Trent's calling out call data increases a DOS vector. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that at all, Trent. Okay.
There should be other people, Marius probably, but I know that this was intended to fix an open issue that had been around a while. If you have this particular thing priced too low, it can cause issues where somebody can create blocks that are too large to process, and I'll let Marius clean that up.
Yeah, no, you said it pretty perfectly. With the current pricing of call data, you can create blocks at 30 million gas. I think you can create blocks up to 7 megabytes, and this with this decrease or with the cost increase, we will actually decrease the maximum worst block size. And this is really important because we want to, basically we want to limit the worst case. And if we limit the worst case, what we can do is we can increase or more safely increase the amount of blobs, for example, because we know that there's not so much variance in the block size. And thus we know, okay, a block cannot go over like 2 or 3 megabytes anymore. And so we can add another couple of megabytes in blobs potentially in the future.
Awesome. Let's keep the EIP parade going. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we're cramming into Pectra. So I think we already talked about the blob throughput increase. One of the things that's pretty cool about this, Litecoin proposed this one. It is a general purpose requests mechanism that is going in. So if y'all remember when withdrawals first dropped with Shanghai, we added some fields to the block that were specific to withdrawals, right? And this is kind of a thing where we have to communicate back and forth with the CLs, right? And so when we added deposits as well, we kind of got to the point where we're like, this might not be the last time we have to add this. What if we had a general purpose mechanism for sending things back and forth between the EL and the CL? And so you'll see the new request mechanism has been introduced. It's super cool. It's going to be used for deposits as well as withdrawals. Some minor stuff around blob management. We are increasing to 6.9 the blob limit. In the future, we have introduced a way to configure that from Genesis. So EIP 7840. And you know, this is kind of outside of the protocol, right? But everybody has implemented it, and you can now adjust your blob schedule from Genesis. So that's going to make testing things a lot easier, make folks that are using blobs on private networks, et cetera, et cetera. And last but not least, account abstraction. EIP 7702. So that's a big one. We're introducing two new opcodes, and this is way outside of my wheelhouse. Actually, I would love it if there was a wallet developer, a dApp developer that I could pass the baton to. But this is a big one, and you know what it unlocks is up to the community, right? So I think we're pretty excited to see what you all do with it. I think we're very excited to get that feedback and to get that UX unlock that folks have been asking for. It could unlock all kinds of things from sponsored transactions to smart contract wallets to a whole myriad of things. So yeah, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? Is there anything that anybody from the CL teams want to call out? Awesome.
Really appreciate that overview. That's really interesting. So I think the next thing we want to do here is look at the staking launchpad updates, because there's been work going on with that, and I think we had Remy lined up to talk about some of the changes that were happening with that as it relates to new capabilities in it and the ability to do consolidations. Remy, do you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, I'm happy to share my screen here. Let me just see how I can do that quickly.
And just a time check, looks like about 11 minutes from when, or 13 minutes actually from when the upgrade would go through. So just a heads up there.
All right, so this is what the new staking launchpad is going to look like. We've had the pleasure to work with a lot of different people to update this launchpad. In particular with some people from the EF and some people from eStaker. The main things that were added were in relation with the new EIPs and in particular with consolidation requests and the new user-triggered withdrawals and exit. But a big part of the content in different sections of the launchpad was updated as well, in terms of like the FAQ section, the different available clients, how withdrawals are working. But the main section I want to show here is the action part. So you now have a new section where you can connect your wallet and it will check with the withdrawal address, right? So if you have a few connected validator with the withdrawal address, you'll be able to perform various operations. And so if you have a few here, you'll see them. If you have like 1,000, you'll be able to select them by either entering the index or the public key. And then once you select one of those validator, you'll have a few details and a few different actions, right? Obviously, after Pectra, you'll be able to upgrade a type 1 validator to a type 2, effectively changing the maximum effective balance from 32 to 2048. But you'll also have a few more options, including forced exit, like withdrawals for type 2's validators, and the consolidation request, where you can consolidate various type 1 validators or type 2 validators towards type 2 validators, right? So some of these features will only be enabled on Holesky after the fork, so I can't show them right away, but maybe we'll be able to come back afterwards to do a quick demo of these features.
Remy, maybe I can ask you like some questions about that. If I'm a solo staker and I consolidate my validators, does my chance of a proposal go down?
No, the chances to propose are very similar. Like if you have like just a regular validator, it's all based on the amount of ETH that you have on balance, right? So if you have 32 ETH, it'll stay the same. If you consolidate to have more ETH, then the chances increases accordingly.
So is there really any benefit, or is there any negative to me consolidating my validators if I'm like a small solo staker?
There's no obvious negative for you. Well, there's at least one positive. It'll help the network as a whole, and it'll be less computational. It'll be less work for you as a node operator.
The one that I'm excited for is compounding. I am super excited because I have a validator that I haven't even moved from 0x00 yet. And so I will have to go 0x00, 0x01, 0x02. But that ETH is just sitting there, not generating rewards. And after this upgrade, it'll be able to generate rewards, which I'm really excited about.
Exactly. I see a bunch of people talking in the chat. Maybe you guys can chime in as well, but like auto compounding is a big plus for these new type 2 validators. And then Paul mentioned that one of the downsides from moving or upgrading to a type 2 is that you won't have these regular withdrawals. If you want to have like a withdrawal, you have to manually trigger it.
Yeah, and I like Sassel's point too. He actually pointed out that like if you're a solo staker and your rewards are compounding, you actually increase your chance for a proposal because your balance is constantly going up.
It's a small chance,
Yeah,
but we take it as solo stakers.
A compounding validator will have a better chance than a non-compounding validator to propose a block. So that's a tangible benefit to upgrading, to changing over.
What about penalties? Like, I know we get a lot of like fear questions about like slashing penalties, all these different things. Like, does it change or alter the landscape for that at all? Or is it just
for larger validator entities where you have thousands and thousands of keys and you might be doing things like high availability and stuff like that, it does, if you've got your keys in more than one location, it does change your risk profile. At the moment now, yep.
Sorry, what about the initial slashing penalty?
Initial slashing penalty comes right down to address a lot of this risk. Yeah. So the initial slashing penalty, close enough to goes away. We made it very small so that we didn't have to make a huge code change. But for most intents and purposes, it goes away. You still have the ongoing inactivity after you get slashed. And for solo stakers, honestly, if you have your keys in one location, this does not change your risk profile at all, which I think is the good thing.
Just another time check. I'm just getting a note here that we're 30 slots away from the upgrade. So that's, 5 minutes, I think. There was something we wanted to do while we're getting ready for that. Is 5 minutes enough time, Pooja, for the POAP that you were wanting to talk about?
Yeah, I think we can quickly cover it about the announcement that we want to make. So as always, Ethereum cat holders want to talk about education and community building, I'm happy to share that most of the Pectra EIPs that right now has been discussed by Justin and Paul are also covered on PEEP and EIP. And for EIP authors, we have an NFT, exclusively designed NFT that we want to give it to them, commemorate. I have my team member join in, George, who may be able to just let them know how to like claim that NFT and talk a little bit more about it. George, if you would quickly take a moment to explain this.
Yeah, so the NFT is on base. Anybody who is an EIP author and who has written an EIP in this upgrade Pectra, they are qualified to mint. All you gotta do is go on our website and verify your GitHub, and it has to be the GitHub that you're cited in the EIP, and then you can mint. So I just shared the link in the chat, and have at it.
All right, cool. So that's POAP announcement number 1 for this call. There will be more as we come later, including the general POAP that anyone attending this call can get. So, but thank you guys for sharing that. That's great to have to commemorate that for those contributors. So at this point, let's see, just a couple minutes away, right? So what we want to do is start pulling up probably places to watch this. There's a number of different dashboards. Maybe someone could explain like this this Dora Holešky, the one that PK90 put together. I can share my screen if that works, and we can maybe like talk a little bit about what it would be showing there. Does that sound like a good next step here? PK, you're on the stream.
We have PK, so you could ask him too.
Yeah, maybe PK, I can
actually also share if you like.
Yeah, maybe if you want to share, and that might help just with explaining what you would look at there. Awesome.
So
this is beautiful.
All right.
Hello.
You want to start explaining, or shall I give a quick overview?
Yeah, you can give an overview of what we would want to be paying attention to here, and like what should we actually be like expecting to see when the upgrade goes through, which I'm looking at now is like less than 3 minutes away. So
yes. So basically, we see the overview of blocks and slots in the network, and we are currently in epoch 115,967, and the slot and the fork, the Electra fork, should activate in the next epoch. So once that epoch is complete, we'll activate Electra. That little button here will turn green, and we hopefully will see nearly unchanged participation. So which would mean that all clients have updated. If something goes wrong, we'll see some forked off blocks here, and we'll probably also see a less than 66% participation, which means that we are not finalizing anymore. But that's only the worst part. So let's assume that everything works fine, and we'll have a participation of 88% even after the fork. And yeah, it's 9 slots left now, so getting ready.
Since we have some time to fill, how is it that Ethereum stays live when it cannot finalize? What is that magic?
Well, blocks are still being generated. Yeah, go for it, please.
You can go. So it's a voting system, right? So we need 2/3 of votes to be able to concretely say that any given epoch, it can't change anymore. And we continue to produce blocks and produce votes, which is attestations, until we reach that 2/3 majority vote. And then that epoch justifies, and then we'll finalize as long as we get another 2/3 vote. So it's really down to those attestations that we're changing. Obviously, changing things like attestations, which are so important, has a little bit of a risk associated to it as well. So, yeah.
Buddha Sam asks, why isn't the slot there showing anything?
It isn't showing anything because the hard fork didn't happen yet, but it should show something in like 20 seconds.
Any of the core devs or testing people, what happens if something goes wrong? Like what does it look like if something goes wrong, and what does it look like if something goes right?
We will
On the
quickly say
CL
goodbye
side,
and leave.
yeah, we leave pretty much. But seriously, obviously there's some investigation if something goes wrong. The percentage votes tend to go down every hard fork. It's just by how many. So, and the reason that they often go down is because people weren't aware or haven't upgraded. And then the clients that haven't upgraded end up on their own fork. So what we would ideally see is that the percentage for finalization doesn't change. That would mean that everyone's upgraded, and that's not historically our experience. So just a matter of how much it drops down.
We've activated Electra.
Excellent.
Yeah, PKJ isn't showing anything yet because the epoch transition is quite heavy. So it usually takes like 4 or 5 slots until it shows something. Oh, yeah.
So PK, you had a bunch of console windows up, it looked like as well, right? Or did I see that right? I don't know if that's telling for anything, but
Unfortunately, I don't see a nice ASCII here.
oh yeah. I don't know if those are being done for Holesky or not, but that is a good segue into the fact that we did that. There we go. We got the fork.
Oh, right.
Now it's showing something.
It's an orphan block at least.
There we
But
go.
overall, the participation looks pretty good. Dora estimated a participation of 84% right now. So we should finalize with that participation.
Cool. So what I was saying before also is, so I don't know if those ASCII arts are in the Holesky, but that's something that we were talking about over here before, is that, you know, especially starting with the merge, there was the ASCII arts in the console window, right, for all these different consensus layer clients. And so we took a moment to just collect those and actually put out a tweet poll before the call here. So if anybody's listening and wants to vote on what your favorite one was for the merge, and also we did a tweet poll for the Chapella, so the hard fork right after the merge. And there were a couple of clients that actually did ASCII arts for that too. So if you want to go vote on those on Twitter, eSticker account, you can go check that out. I don't think I'd ever seen it categorized or cataloged anywhere, so we kind of had a little bit of fun with that, collecting it from the different CL teams.
So we had another orphan block, but overall it still looks pretty good. We're still at a participation of about, yeah, still 84%.
As far as I can tell, all the core devs are still on this call, so.
That's a good
It does
sign,
look
yeah.
like it does look like maybe there was a block that wasn't an Electra block, but
Okay, I was actually looking at the wrong number. It's an estimation of 73%, but still above the threshold to finalize.
we usually do see at least 5% disappear.
Why is the percentage, is the lower, so much lower on Holešky than it would be on mainnet.
Well, there's no financially incentive to run testnet nodes forever. So we see a lot of validators that were just deposited and never run, or were run and were just shut off at some point. And yeah, these are still in the validator set. So yeah, we have a bunch of leaking validators there.
I was definitely guilty of that on Gurley. I abandoned a lot of validators.
Does it
And the
impact any of this?
inactivities are low enough. Sorry, the inactivities are low enough that these validators will stay there forever, pretty much.
Does the fact that we have more different types of testnets now, like, create any complications or like just add nuance to this for when these upgrades go through? Because I know like Sepolia is going to be in another week or two, right? I think the date's set for Sepolia. I don't know if that adds anything from your all's perspective. I'm just curious, like insight there. Go ahead, Marius.
Yes. Yes. It adds a lot of complexity on our end because we have to constantly switch between the different contexts. But and also we need to support, currently in the code base, we kind of need to support the current fork and then like potential other forks or potential other features that might or might not be built on top of each other. For example, all of the Verkle stuff might be built on top of Pectra, or it might be built on top of Denkun, or it might be built on top of Osaka even. And that makes our lives a bit harder because we have to support all of these kind of things in parallel. And whenever the East Panda Ops team wants to start a new DevNet, we have to make sure that we need to that we have like the correct thing in place. And if there's an issue, for example, found in Pectra, then that also means that our software needs to be fixed there, and then our software also needs to be updated for the EOF DevNet, so that this issue is not being triggered on the EOF DevNet as well, and will break something there. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Oh, we already have some consolidations requests on Holešky. People already started testing.
Oh, that's so cool. They were waiting. Oh, crypto manufacturers want to.
Yes.
Yes, I've been
Wait.
testing here, but I don't see it reflected. So at one point here, maybe we can switch. I'll share my screen and Remy can explain just exactly how this interface works, and we'll see what's going on.
Yep. Stop my share.
All right, let me see. Google Chrome, share. Does this share okay?
Yes, we can see it.
Lovely. So here we are. We got a bunch of Holešky Genesis validators, and I hit the upgrade account on one of them. It is, as you can see, still a non-compounding validator here, 0x01 or type 1 non-compounding. Not quite sure whether it just takes a minute or what the reason might be. One question I have for you, Remy, is on this, as far as the interface goes, I can upgrade to a compounding validator. What I'm not seeing is the ability to take multiple of these and consolidate them. How does that work?
So you need to have a type 2 validator as a target. And once you have one, there should be like an additional button there for you to either pull the funds or push the funds from.
Fully understood.
Yep.
Can I get a sanity check on that from some of our lovely consensus devs? I thought I could take 2 or more type 1 validators and make them into a type 2 without going through converting one first. Do I have that wrong?
So that got changed largely because it was seen as maybe a bit of a nasty thing to be able to do to someone. And I don't understand the reasoning behind it, but it's
But we
an
changed
easy
it.
enough thing to just force
Got
so
it.
that you make
Okay.
it 0-2 first. Yeah.
Okay. So 0-2, right? We're being nerds here. 0x02 means 2 decimal or type 2 or version 2. Really what we mean is a compounding validator. So I have here a non-compounding one on Holešky. So let's see whether we can just show this. I'd come in here, connect my wallet with the wallet that controls the withdrawal address. So whatever withdrawal address has been set, that needs to be in a wallet, and I connect it here through a MetaMask button in my case to the launchpad. That's the first part. And then I see all the validators available to me, and I can choose one. I could also type the index here or fetch more, right? If you have a validator where a withdrawal address is not yet set, or in nerd talk type 0 or version 0 or 0x00, then change it first to have a withdrawal address set. Have that wallet ready. Once you got the wallet connected, you get to see the list of the validators with that withdrawal address. All of the validators you wish to consolidate have to have the same withdrawal address. The only way to change that, as always, is an exit. Okay, that was a lot. But I wanted to explain that. And now we get to upgrade account. It tells me I need to sign a message with my wallet. That's exactly right. This costs gas. We'll say finish, and then we'll see whether it actually prompts me here somewhere in MetaMask. And of course, it did not. This is the demo effect in full effect. I don't know. I can reload this and go through it from the beginning, but it is entirely possible that we have an interaction issue with my MetaMask and it doesn't like us. Upgrade account. This has definitely not been upgraded, I promise. And now it does. So I need that there seems to be an interact with the MetaMask that doesn't always quite work. And so that's what I just did. I signed this transaction with my wallet, signed my life away with my withdrawal address. Not scary at all. Do not, this is really important. Do not attempt this on websites you do not trust. If you sign just random things with your withdrawal address, there goes your stuff. So I mean, this is incredibly important to be very, very careful here. I obviously haven't been, but I'm on testnet, so I don't much care. Confirm on chain. This is now just waiting for my transaction to actually make it in. I just used the standard gas, didn't do anything particular, so this might take minutes here. And then after that, it's upgraded. Remy, can I safely say finish and go to the other one I tried earlier? So we do a little cooking show thing here. Yeah, we'll do a little cooking show. Like this is the one we prepared earlier. You have to just imagine the was either that one or that one, I'm not sure. You have to just imagine the artery clogging amounts of butter we're using for this. I don't think so. Yeah.
So you have to know that there's a few delays, like with all of these operations.
There's a couple delays for all of these operations, right? So I think this is good enough. Yeah. This is good enough. We don't want to wait here for 20 minutes to see whether it actually went through on the chain. But that is essentially it to upgrade the account. And then after that, you would be able to consolidate more validators into the one you upgrade into a compounding validator. So when this shows credential type 2, then it's a 0x02. Then it is a compounding validator. All right, I'll stop my share.
Cool. Thanks for showing that. I think it's always interesting to see it in action. And I think it's also a good call to action for validators, people out there testing on Holesky. Like you can now go try it out yourself, try the consolidation if it's, if you have a node going and you want to check it out.
Yeah, and definitely think through so we've had some questions in Discord, which is better? Is a compounding validator strictly better for a home staker? That really completely depends on you and your needs. If you like the money that's coming in as an automatic withdrawal and you just spend that, every month or every 9 days or whenever it comes in, don't change anything because the automatic withdrawals are gone once you start compounding. If taxes are easier for you when it just gets swept and not compounded, then don't do that, right? Stay on what you are. Yes, Paul.
The other thing that a lot of people mentioned was the idea of being able to stake an extra couple of ETH. So rather than going over and spinning up one of the pools and putting in 8 ETH and then, you know, doing that whole thing, you'd just be able to put that 8 ETH onto your own validator. So there's a lot of potential ways you might look to saying that it's tangibly better for people. It just depends on people's circumstances.
100% yes. So you have an extra 2 ETH and you want to earn on it, then absolutely, put that into your compounding validator and it'll earn for you. Probably also good to say that this is on whole ETH boundaries. So you need to be on a whole ETH boundary for your effective balance to go up. Actually, I have some questions as to when it does that. It drops down when it comes down, it's not immediate, but going up, I think you need to be on the whole ETH boundary so that your effective balance raises by 1. Right? Like 31.75 is still 32 when you're coming down, but not when you're coming up, as far as I know. Something like that. So you're not, long story short, you're not going to earn on the extra 0.1 ETH, but you're definitely going to earn when you have an extra ETH or an extra 2 ETH. Just increment and whole.
Yeah, and if you need to get those funds back off the validator, that's what the partial withdrawal before. So you'll be able to withdraw down to as low as your 32 ETH.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's going to take time because it's a balance leaving the validator pool and it's an actual balance that's being voted with. So it does take time for that ETH to come off, but you can get access to it. Whereas currently, if you wanted your ETH that was on your validator, you would need to exit.
Right, that's a very good point. And I think what you just mentioned here is the voluntary withdrawals are still subject to waiting periods and some form of queue.
Yeah, so those balances that are part of your effective balance are literally being used to vote on these attestations, which tell us which chain is finalized. So the balance needs to be controlled onto and off of the network. And this just comes into that. Obviously, you're going to wait less time if you're rolling 8 ETH out rather than rolling 1,000 ETH out. I think both of these scenarios are going to be happening and seen on chain.
Got it. Thank you.
And it's a queue with everyone else that's taking balance out as well. So if a lot of funds are moving off the network, all of that gets queued. You'll be at the back of the queue, obviously, to start with. So
is this a new queue? Is this a new queue or is an existing queue being reused?
It's a new queue. Basically, previously with withdrawals, we didn't need to queue anything. We just had a very small pool and we did a rotating system. Now people can opt in to get these withdrawals. And it's pending partial withdrawals queue on the state. And there's also a pending deposits queue. So those two on the consensus layer control the funds going onto and leaving the chain.
Got it.
And they're rate limited. So I think it's around 256 ETH onto or off during any one epoch.
During an epoch. Okay, that's 6.4 minutes. That could get quite congested at times, right?
Yeah, and it's the same as the rate that we were pulling onto the when validators were going on. It's just expressed in ETH rather than number of validators. So people are very used to seeing 8 validators come on, but now 8 validators might be quite a huge balance. So it wasn't really going to make sense to express that anymore.
Got it.
Cool. Is there anything else about the dashboards that we want to look at, or like other things? I don't know, any other like initial like observations about how it went through, or is it kind of like we'll learn more in the coming days?
I think we should learn more in a few hours about what the consensus layer is doing, but I am seeing a lot of empty blocks. So probably at some point soon, I will start my workday and start investigating that.
Cool.
Yeah, we
I
also
don't think
have.
we'll see finalization just now.
Yeah, that's exactly. We are on under 66% now for some reason, and we see a lot of bad blocks also on the network. So something is definitely off, but we are still looking at what's going on.
This is what
Nice.
testnets are for.
That's right. And we have one more, right? When's the next testnet upgrade?
Yeah, so that's
next-
Sepolia, March 5th. Wednesday, March 5th at 7:29 UTC.
Yeah, and I mean, if we wanted to talk worst case scenarios, if for some reason Holesky's really gone poorly and we need a lot of time to fix it, we might have to delay that. But generally, these things we can fix up and put out client releases if we need to. It's just a matter of the root cause before we make that call.
Right.
So stay tuned to all core devs on Thursday night.
That'll be a good one. Now, typically, when this happens in testnet, it's just that not everybody is upgraded, right? That's the usual. Yeah. We'll see what it actually is here in a while after devs had a chance to look.
The weird
Yeah.
thing here is that the participation is actually declining. That we've seen a 71% participation in the first epoch after the activation, and now it's less than 62%. So yeah, something is weird.
What we're hearing is the core devs are not going to have an easy ETH Denver.
They're going to be busy. It might be a simple cause. We just have to have a look.
Should we check in on some of the fun parts? I mean, this has all been fun. No offense to anything we've talked about, but I'm in terms of the tweet poll. How about we check on that, because it looks like we've got a number. Well, some votes. Looks like we need more votes to get some statistical significance. But from what I can tell, from the merge anyway, Nimbus is winning. The fiery panda has been popular. So
very nice. Do we have any
Um,
questions from YouTube?
yeah, any questions? Nothing there.
Oh,
Somebody's asking about Dora, why the network fork hasn't showed up on Dora, but maybe that's because they're using the wrong URL.
probably the right one shows it. But I also have a Dora question for PK. Can we get a like, you can just saw that you can download the SSC of the block. Can we also get the RLP of the execution payload as like a downloadable button? That would be really, really nice, so that we can pull that in and see where we're differing.
Not as easy as the SSC download, because the full SSC block is stored in the database, so that's an easy thing for Dora. For the RLP of the block, I probably have to fetch the block from the execution layer too first, right? But I can take a look at it.
Typical CL bias. You guys, me and Marius are gonna leave now. See ya.
We just have a REST API that's nice and simple to consume, that's all.
Yeah, and I see some chatter here about a Lodestar hotfix that came out just before the fork that may have been missed by a bunch of validators. So that might be contributing to what's going on.
Yeah, there also seems to be a difference between Geth and Reth Aragon and how we compute the root hash of the requests. And yes, and we don't know where Nethermind is yet, but we need to figure this out because Yeah, that's a consensus issue on the EL, which would also explain some of the jitter.
Makes sense.
Well, in terms of what we had planned for this call, we have around 10 minutes left of the planned time, and one thing we definitely have not gotten to yet is the POAP, and we can do that at any point in the last 10 minutes here. Obviously, we can keep chatting about the rest of these interesting insights that everyone's kind of, tossing out as we're kind of experiencing this live. Remy, should we do the POAP? Oh, go ahead, Nixo.
It'll be nice for the mainnet call. I think we'll put somebody else on this call to actually talk about the wallet upgrades and like wallet readiness, because I think one thing we don't have here is like a wallet representative or like somebody who is familiar with all of the wallets to see like how they're going to take advantage of these updates. And that's like an actual like thing that's going to affect end users beyond like developers and validators.
Yeah, good idea. Good point. All right, Remy, how about we do the POAP slide? How does that sound?
Sure, it's up.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm getting the details right on this thing too. So I'm going to look at what you have there. But the instructions are on the screen. Everyone should be able to see that right now. I'm just getting the YouTube pulled up for myself also, so I can speak to it properly. But it is a cool looking POAP that we made for the Pectra fork. And basically this is the instructions for getting it. It is a POAP minted on Arbitrum. And so when you go ahead and do this, it's using the POAP airship capability. What you do is you send 0.0009 ETH to the poap.ethstaker.eth address, and it'll mint directly to the address that you sent it from. So pretty good user experience. And then you get this really cool looking POAP. Some fun design elements. There's actually 2 ETH logos within this that if you can pick them out. One of them, I had to look at this like pretty close to see it, but there's 2 of them in there. And then also the constellation is actually the constellation that the Electra star is in, which is Taurus. So we kind of, had some fun designing this and putting the giraffe in there, which is, I don't know what you call it, the spirit animal of Pectra. and then the city in the background is Prague. So yeah, we kind of had some fun putting some symbolism in there related to this upgrade. And then just one other point about doing this, the payment can be done on Arbitrum. It can also be done on Base Optimism and Ethereum mainnet. So go and collect that POAP. And I'll mention also at this point that the mainnet call, the plan right now is to have a couple different POAPs in play, and one of them will be a community art POAP. And we want to have, we'll send out more information so that people can review the criteria, but we want to have community art sent in and ultimately a winner voted on. And so look for more information about that on the ETHstaker Twitter to get your art included in the contest. And then we'll also have we'll do like a paint art. So I think we'll have a number of different, like the POAP paint. We'll do that for the mainnet call, and we'll do a second POAP, I think, that's a collectible item as well. So yeah, more info to come there as we anticipate the mainnet Pectra upgrade in some matter of weeks. And also what we're going to do right now is post another poll. We're kind of in like a poll season or something here, but we're going to post another poll on Twitter about best guesses for the mainnet Pectra upgrade happening, when people think that will happen. We're going to kind of have the week of the 8th, the 31st, or the 14th, those 3 weeks, kind of what people think. And so we'll post it out there and see what the community thinks about that on the poll. Yes, poap.estaker.eth is the address to send it to. 0.000. So 0009 ETH going to that. And it'll mint on the Arbitrum layer 2. Cool. All right. And then we're not planning to do a live stream for Sepolia, but that is happening on the tentative time currently is for March 5th, like we mentioned before. So yeah, pending that, I know that's when the discussion will happen for the mainnet date, and use this time now to practice, consolidating validators, using this on Holesky for those running nodes on Holesky to test it out. And I think that, yeah, we can start anticipating the mainnet upgrade happening in the not too distant future. Is there anything else that people want to mention before we sign off? I know we have a few minutes in the planned time. All good?
I will mention that the staking survey is going to open in about 2 weeks. So keep an eye out for that. And that's going to be open to anybody who runs a validator or anybody who holds liquid staking tokens. So professional operators.
To promote your talk in December.
Yes, yeah, let's talk about that, because I'm in Colorado and I'll be at ETH Denver this week, and I'll be doing a talk tomorrow about these ETHStaker surveys. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Patricio. It's something I'm looking forward to talking about. And so I posted something about it in the ETHStaker Discord. So join us there on tomorrow at 5:30, I think it is, Mountain Time. So talk about the importance of those surveys, what we've learned, and I'm really excited about this one coming up that we have, because we'll be able to have year-over-year data that we can start to do some new interesting analyses about, to see what the efforts we've done, how that's impacted sentiment, and the kind of data we collect in those surveys. So yeah, stop by. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for a good call. Thanks for packing the house here in Zoom.
Thanks for joining.
Take care.
Thanks for
All right.
hosting. Yeah. Bye.